There's an old Danish proverb that says, it's very difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. But I'm gonna make one right here. And that is that self-driving cars are going to replace human drivers in things like Ubers, taxis, buses, transport trucks. And I think that change is coming in the not too distant future. I think we're gonna start to see it in the next 5 years. It's not hard to imagine, of course, because the technology is almost there today. I think this is my Uber right here. How you doing? I'm recording a video for YouTube. Do you mind?
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Are you worried about robots taking your job?
No. It's straight like this.
Yeah.
Do you think
that no self-driving car could
do this? No.
If you go grocery shopping, do you ever use the automated checkout? You scan your groceries? You don't go to a person? Thank you so much.
Okay, Derek.
Appreciate it. Now I'm going to a restaurant where you don't have to order from any human being. You can order from an iPad type device and then pick up your food from a little cupboard. Do you mind if I film my ordering experience? Do you mind holding that just for a sec? Sorry. Did I do it right?
Yep.
I added bag, checkout. Maximum's 3 minutes?
Yeah, I would say.
Whoa. Just tap on it? Tap twice?
Yep.
No way. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Do you think robots are going to take our jobs?
I imagine most majority of jobs will, as sooner or later, robots will replace because they're more efficient. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Hopefully not. I imagine we'll do something to stop it at least. Yeah.
So robots have already replaced cashiers here and service people and maybe even the chefs. But it's not just the menial work. I mean, I think it makes sense that the simple jobs, the easy ones to automate, those are the ones that are done first. But robots and machines, computers are getting smarter. They can already beat us at virtually every game like Go or poker or chess or Jeopardy. And I think the key equation that all of this is going to come down to, whether or not your job is automated, it comes down to whether the return on investment is better putting that money into a machine than putting it into the continued use of human labor. And for a lot of jobs, including white-collar jobs, that's an equation that's going to favor robots in the long term. A major outcome of all of this automation is that companies need fewer employees to provide the same kind of value to customers. Take the biggest company of 1964, AT&T, valued at something like $270 billion in today's money. And they employed, at that time, over 800,000 workers. Today, Google, which is valued at $100 billion more than that, only employs 60,000 people. And if you look at what may be a related trend, the percentage of males between the ages of 25 and 54, that's considered prime working age, the number of those males without a job has tripled since the 1960s. Part of that may well be due to automation. A study out of Oxford University in 2013 estimated that nearly half of all jobs are at risk of being automated within the next few decades. That's kind of astonishing. It's easy to see how this could lead to a downward trajectory for society. We would continue to see the accumulation of wealth among the investor class. They would get richer because the profits only grow when they can pay less to robots than they would to human labor. On the other end of the spectrum, you'd have those workers who are trying to compete for the last remaining jobs that the robots haven't got yet. And so salaries just get lower and lower. And you have this massive inequality issue. Fears like this are not new. If you go back to the early 1800s in England, textile workers were being replaced with machines, and so they revolted and they actually went in and bashed the machines. They were called the Luddites, and a lot of people use that as an insult today, as if you're anti-progress, but they had these legitimate concerns that technology was going to make people unemployable. And we have that same concern today. And we look back on the Luddites, and a lot of people want to take away the lesson that, well, they were wrong, and ultimately the whole economic system didn't collapse and new jobs were created, and ultimately there wasn't a lot of unemployment. But what this overlooks is that for those workers themselves, a lot of them were replaced or suffered hardship. So what is the real lesson we should learn from the Luddites? Well, I think there's two major things. One is that over the centuries, humans have been working less and less. Not that there have been fewer jobs, but that each person works fewer hours. If you look at the average amount of time people were working in the 1830s, it was 70 hours per week. And now the average is down to 40 hours per week. You know, during the Great Depression of last century, the famous economist John Maynard Keynes predicted that by 2030, we might be working 15-hour weeks and have plenty of leisure time, because he saw how technology was taking over all of these roles and making food production and housing and doing the washing for us. It's obvious that if other devices are doing a lot of the work, we should be able to work less. And the cost of everything should drop such that we have, you know, plenty of money to live life the way we want to. The other factor here is the new jobs that will be created. It's almost impossible to imagine what they will be, and I know because, well, when I graduated high school and even college, the job that I have today wasn't invented yet. YouTube didn't exist. I remember wanting to be a filmmaker, but not wanting to be part of the traditional film industry and try to work my way up from PA and just hopefully get a lucky break. It seemed like a terrible job prospect and not at all a meritocracy. But I couldn't have imagined the greatness of the role that I have now, and that was just over a decade ago. So undoubtedly there will be some new jobs, and already we see trends in the way the tech industry is developing. You know, a lot of the platforms like Etsy or eBay or YouTube or Facebook, they are making it possible for other people to be entrepreneurs. You can use those platforms to make a business. So I think that's kind of an interesting trend that we're seeing, that if you're creative, if you are entrepreneurial, you can find platforms that help you build and grow a business. But those are the key skills. And who takes advantage of these new opportunities? Well, those are going to be the people who have the right education. And I think that's the key here. You know, the problem the Luddites had was that they could only really do one thing, and it was very difficult to get training to do something different. So for the future, the key is going to be, can you get the right education that will make you adaptable and agile, because you're probably not going to do just one thing for your life, and you probably shouldn't just have one skill set. For this video, I partnered with the president of Northeastern University, Joseph E. Aoun. He's an educational futurist, and he's written a book about how universities and colleges need to innovate in order to prepare students for this world in which automation is a major risk. That book is called Robot Proof. Now, in the book, he talks about three major things that universities need to do in order to prepare students for this new world. Number one, they need to help students develop the skills that machines just don't have or aren't very good at, things like creativity and entrepreneurship. Second, they need to provide opportunities for students to get experience in the workplace, in professional settings, in addition to in the classroom. And third, universities need to be places of lifelong learning, because it's not like you're going to go to university just once at the beginning of your career and then work for the rest of your life. You may be coming back many times to gain new skills for the new jobs that will be opening up. So if you want to be robot proof, or you want to think about the future of education, you should really check out his book. It is very, very interesting to read, and it's not a huge long book. I found it fascinating. You can read it. I have a link to it in the description. So I want to thank Northeastern University for supporting Veritasium, and I want to thank you for watching. One day that bus might be driven by a robot.